Well, joining us now is the former head of the Civil Service, Lord O'Donnell, who was once himself one of the favourites to succeed Mervyn King as Governor of the Bank of England before Mark Carney's appointment was made. Well, let's just start with, you actually know Mark Carney, and I wondered what you thought of his performance.
I thought we saw today many of the reasons why he was chosen as Bank of England governor, the next governor. He's very professionally competent. He's an extremely good communicator. He understands about being accountable to Parliament. And I think he demonstrated some very human features. You know, he cared about his daughter's education, which is why he wanted to manage a 5-year deal. And he came into that room and he walked into that room. I think some people kind of expected him to fly in with his cape going, you know, as if this is Superman coming. I think it's very important for us to understand Mark Carney is human. You know, he is not going to transform the British economy on the day he arrives in that job. The economy is weak, it will be weak when he arrives, and he knows that he's got to provide monetary stimulus, and he's quite open to looking at new ways of managing the monetary side of the economy.
Well, that's the point. He may not be Superman, but he has said things which haven't been said quite that way before. And he is looking at that question of whether you could change the inflation target. Maybe, as Siobhan pointed out with that graphic, the idea of extending the period for which you try to keep inflation under control. I mean, what are the real options?
Well, the real option, I think, the target is to get inflation at 2%, and it's symmetric, 1% either side. There is a lot of freedom. The Monetary Policy Committee has freedom as to which path it takes to get inflation back to target if it's moved away. And you can always choose a path which you think is better for growth in the economy. And so I think that's what he'll look at, and he'll call it, I think, flexible inflation targeting will be the phrase we'll hear used. I don't think he's going to go down the route of nominal GDP targeting. I think he's kind of flirted with that, and I think there are lots of practical reasons why that's quite difficult. But I think we will see him try and explore and you know, welcome a debate about how far we can go in being flexible on inflation targeting.
This is a very different institution from his own. He hasn't had to wrestle with a 9-person monetary policy committee, for example, and that's going to be a different way of life.
Absolutely, and each individual member of that committee has a vote. So the thing he did so successfully in Canada was that announcement about rates are going to stay constant for a year. It got to be, well, it was very effective. Of course, he's got a committee now, and he's got to get the committee to decide on that. And then, of course, they are due to meet every month, so there could be some very boring meetings if he's pre-announced what's going to happen.
If he does want this longer period during which to play, he will have to put them out to grass for a year and then call them back again.
Well, there's other things to look at, like the level of quantitative easing, so and they'll want to keep an eye on it.
Well, and he's never played that card in his life either.
No, but he's observed it, he's seen it in the United States, which obviously is massively important for the Canadian economy, so he's thought about this a lot. And remember, he is the head of the Financial Stability Board, so he's very much in tune and talks to all of the key central bankers around the world. So he will be very aware of the impact of quantitative easing in different economies.
Well, Chancellor Osborne went a long way out of his way to get Mark Carney. You know, nice salary, good house, all the rest of it, and the change in the years in order to accommodate the daughter's education, etc. And so one senses that the kind of separation of powers, if you like, isn't quite what it was.
Well, I think Mark Carney will be very aware of wanting to preserve the independence of the central bank. I think that's crucial. It's crucial in Canada, it's crucial in the United Kingdom. Obviously, chancellors choose central bank governors. And the key thing here is there has been a difference in the past. The central bank governor in the UK would have been reappointed by a chancellor. Now you've got just one fixed term, so there isn't that question of reappointment. So when he comes, he'll be his own man and he will do what he thinks is right.
Now, you've been inside the system for many, many years, Treasury and Cabinet, everywhere. And just supposing you had, by some nightmarish thing, decided this was exactly what you wanted to do and you would be governor, what would your first act have been?
Well, my first act will be to talk to the staff, because I think one of the great strengths that Mark will inherit from Mervyn King is an institution which has fantastic people in it. The professionalism of the bank is really second to none. And I want to talk to the staff.
Of course,
and say,
I was tempting you to talk policy. What would you have done? Would you have looked at the inflation target?
On policy, I would say I'd want to explore the question of flexibility about when we move away from target, can we think about taking a bit more time in moving back to it in either direction?
Gus O'Donnell, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.